ॐ वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ॐ श्री महागणपतये नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्तिस्वामिने नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्ख्यपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। So namaste once again everyone.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. So 26th shloka we will chant.
Okay.
Ami chatvam dhritarashtrasya putrah सर्वे सहैवावनिपालसङ्घैः
सर्वे सहैवावनिपालसङ्घैः
भीष्मो द्रोणसूतपुत्रस्तथासौ
भीष्मो द्रोणसूतपुत्रस्तथासौ
सहास्मदीयैरपि योधमुख्यैः
सहास्मदीयैरपि योधमुख्यैः.
Okay. So Arjuna was enjoying the Vishwarupa Darshanam with his Divya Chakshu initially. Seeing the colossal form of Ishvara with countless Sharirangani, a form of which he cannot make out the beginning or end or the extent of the middle portion. An infinite form. A form which is brilliant with many colors. Arjuna was initially wonderstruck. And he expressed his wonderment from verses 15 to 22. And he said that not only himself, but Rudras, Adityas, Vasus, Sadhyas, Vishwadevas, two Ashwins, Maruts, Pitris, group of Gandharvas, Yakshas, Asuras, and Siddhas were all also having the Vishwarupa Darshanam and were looking at the form with wonder. So this was the positive side of the cosmic order. which in Bhagavad Gita terminology is called Vishwarupa Ishvara. Then came the shock in verse number 23. When he saw the mouth of the Lord, the mouth of this enormous form, rather mouths, I should say, mouths which were wide open, with each of them having a mouthful of teeth, and not just ordinary human teeth, but like those of a tiger, with massive canines, sharp incisors, Caesar-like molars, and which is a frightening sight for everyone. And naturally, Arjuna, not being prepared for seeing this side of the cosmic form of the Lord, was also scared. And he wanted to avoid looking at this ferocious form. But as I said, it is human nature, especially the human mind, that whatever it wants to avoid seeing, the eyes keep going there only. And Arjuna was no exception. And therefore, his attention keeps going to the wide open mouths of the Lord, and he is stunned, horrified, appalled, dumbstruck to see all the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with hosts of kings, Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, along with all prominent warriors of Pandava's side also, entering that gory mouth of the Lord. And he understood this part of the cosmic order in its correct perspective, that this description of the Lord's mouth is symbolic of the time principle, which we call Kala Tattva. And the entire cosmic order operates within the paradigm of this time principle. Everything in the universe is born in time, is sustained in time, and also gets destroyed in time. In fact, the time principle arises along with the creation. The time principle sustains the creation, because of which the creation continuously undergoes modification and changes. And eventually, the unmanifestation of the universe also happens because of the time principle. And as I said in the last class, the message which Krishna wants to give through this 11th chapter is that birth and death are two sides of the same coin. The one who is born will have to die. That is the cosmic law. Therefore, when we talk of Vishwarupa Ishvara, we have to consider both these aspects for a complete understanding of Ishvara. And therefore, one request, please, after you chant, mute yourself. Otherwise, we are all privy to your conversation which is going on when the class is going on. Okay. So, as I said, birth and death are the two sides of the same coin. That is the cosmic law. Therefore, when we talk of Vishwarupa Ishvara, we have to consider both these aspects for a complete understanding of Ishvara. And therefore, labeling something as divine and other things as non-divine is done by us due to our ignorance. from the totality point of view, everything is divine. All good, bad, and ugly are integral part of Ishvara's order, the cosmic order. So Krishna wants us to develop this mature attitude through this teaching. Now, obviously, this revelation will be unacceptable to some people. And their argument would be, does it mean that all crimes are to be justified as an aspect of Ishvara? Does it mean that all terrorist activities, wanton killings, etc., are to be accepted as a part of Vishwarupa Ishvara? Does it mean that the cruelty on the part of some people has to be accepted as part of the cosmic order and we have to undergo the consequent suffering? And all these are very valid questions and very important for us to understand this negative side of the people's behavior. And therefore, we need to analyze this issue little bit in detail for a correct understanding. The first mistake most of us do is like we mix up Atma, the consciousness, and the body, mind, sense complex, and consider the body, etc., as Atma. Similarly, we mix up a person and his behavior and consider that the behavior defines a person. And consequently, we judge that person as a good person or a bad person. And that leads us to either like that person or dislike that person. So because of this mix-up, our raga dvesha kicks in. And therefore, the first step should be what? It should be to separate the person from his or her behavior. Of course, we cannot physically separate the two. And therefore, the two have to be separated cognitively. We must clearly understand that the person is distinct from his or her behavior. Now, when we try to analyze the behavior, we find that the behavior of a person is driven by numerous factors, including past samskaras, samskaras even from previous lives, then parents' influence of the society. Some behavioral traits are instinctive also. And sometimes when a person is sick, his behavior could be different from his normal behavior. Because, he is very irritated because of the sickness, because of the discomfort. So his behavior could be different than normal behavior. And another aspect regarding behavior we must note is that a person's behavior is not constant throughout the life. It keeps on changing for better or the worse, depending upon his or her circumstances in various stages of life. And therefore, judging a person based on the behavior is, I would say, foolishness. And that is why the first rule in Vedanta is never judge a person. Never be judgmental about a person based on his or her behavior. Now, if you cognitively strip the behavior from the person, what remains is a jiva, who is very much part of the creation as any other living being. Like every other living being, the jiva has a right to live peacefully without being harmed in any manner. And a human being also has the same right and privilege. And for a human being, this right or privilege mainly needs to be protected from other human beings, the society, and not least by the government. From the government, protected from the government. And that is why we have got a constitution where fundamental rights are enshrined. And therefore, we strip the behavior from the person when we have a person, when we strip what we have is a person no different from us. As we do not want others to hurt us physically or emotionally, similarly, we should also not hurt another person physically or emotionally. And from the cosmic order standpoint, all are jivas and all are subject to the same cosmic laws. We can then bring a sense of samatvam in our attitude and approach. Now you may wonder, all this is all fine, to talk about, to say, to advise, but is it practically possible? Let us examine that also. Ordinarily, it is not possible. But once we start paying attention to the details, once we start working on it with commitment, once we embark upon the spiritual journey and march towards our goal of moksha, this attitude becomes a distinct possibility. And that is what compassion is all about. If you analyze what is compassion, in fact, I Googled to find out the definition of compassion, because I wanted to use a very official version of the word compassion. Well, compassion is the word we just throw around, all over the place. Somebody says empathy, somebody says sympathy. What exactly is compassion? And from the Google, this is what I got. Compassion is the emotional response of recognizing another person's suffering combined with an authentic desire to alleviate the suffering. It further says it moves beyond empathy. And empathy is feeling what another person feels by adding a motivation to act and help. It is care, kindness, and proactive support, often viewed as kindness in action. Every word in this definition is a very important word. And I personally feel that it's a profound definition which conveys the essence of what compassion is all about. And whenever we talk of compassion, we do not make it subjective to the past or the present behavior of the person, irrespective of his behavioral tendencies. Suppose if a person is sick, physically or mentally sick, we look at his suffering and his or her suffering and reach out to help, if possible. If we ourselves are have the capacity to help. For example, there is someone known to us who has been an addict to smoking and drinking for a long period of time. You have been advising him to actually stop these habits, but somehow he continues. And he finally ends up in a hospital with a terminal illness. At that time, will we say, see, your present condition is because of your past behavior, and I have been all through warning you about it, and that you deserve this suffering, etc. No, we will never say that. Irrespective of what his relationship has been with us, even if that person had had a very big fight with us, total difference of opinion on, say, many matters, we will reach out to help the person and try our best to alleviate his suffering and also offer emotional support to that person. And that is what I meant by cognitively separating the person from the behavior. Stripping the behavior from the person, which is eminently possible. In fact, we do practice it often without realizing it. Everyone asks, how do we practice it? One example I gave you. But just imagine, there are so many things which are there in the cosmic order, in the cosmos, that we consume. And we are careful to take only the positives of those things and reject the negatives. For example, take a banana. When we eat a banana, what do? We peel the banana and then eat. What is the process? That peel of banana is not good for us. So we throw it, we reject it, and then what is good we take. Another example is the jackfruit. It has got very thorny skin outside. In fact, if you touch it, you may even get hurt. I mean, if you touch it a little force, it may get hurt. But the fruit inside is very sweet. For that reason, because its outer layer is very rough and, capable of hurting us, do we actually throw it away? No. We very carefully remove the outer layer. And it is a very big process. It's not easy to remove the outer layer, the skin of a jackfruit. And inside, there is a sticky, liquid is there. It sticks to your hand and all that. So people use, they coconut oil or some oil and all, they will apply to the hand and then slowly remove it. But once you have removed that skin, the outer layer, the inside fruit is marvelous, isn't it? I can give you so many examples. So we must think and analyze. We must think, is it possible for us? Of course, in the case of fruits and all, we physically separate, correct? Here we must not look at behavior. We must look at what is good for us, what is to be rejected. That is how we have to view this. So in a person, what we have to take, whatever is good in that person. Because every person is a mixture of good things and bad things, good behavior, bad behavior. It is not that a person, right from birth till death is only bad behavior. It's not like that. Every person has got both the sides. And therefore, what we should do, take what is good, what is useful, and then reject what is not useful, what is not good. And therefore, when we say don't be judgmental, we should accept the person, but we need not validate his or her behavior. These are two different things which we often mix up. Accepting the person does not mean that we are accepting the behavior as well. All these must be very clearly understood. And judging a person as good or bad based on the behavior is also violative of the cosmic laws. And that is what Krishna is emphasizing in this chapter. What is Vishwarupa Ishvara? Nothing but the cosmic form of the Ishvara's order. And like I said in the last class, the cosmic order comprises of pairs of opposite which complement each other. For example, we have a sweet smelling rose plant which has dangerous thorns. We love the rose, but we don't like to be pricked by the thorns, isn't it? Painful, blood will come. But the thorns are as much a part of the plant as the rose is. So what we do, we carefully separate the rose from the plant without getting hurt by the thorns. And I can give you another example. Ferocious tiger, which is a beauty to look at, but at the same time it has killer instincts. And therefore, when we go on a safari or to a zoo, etc., while we admire its physical beauty, we keep ourselves at a safe distance so as to not get hurt or killed. Another example I can give you is that of a cobra. Another beautiful creature created by Ishvara, though its poison is deadly. Again, we admire its beauty. We worship it as Abharanam of Shiva. We even celebrate Naga Panchami. But we will never think of going anywhere near it. On the contrary, we will run away when we see a serpent. And therefore, from all these examples, the lesson we have to learn is that we have to take all positive things from the universe, protect ourselves against the negatives to the best extent possible. We cannot choose to take only positives and reject the negatives, if I can use that terminology. For the sake of convenience. Because normally we are not, see, as I said, negatives also we should accept without validating it. So acceptance and validation, we must be very clear about what they mean. But let us see, for the sake of convenience, we cannot accept the positives and reject the negatives. Because as I said, there is nothing positive or negative in the cosmos. Everything has its own place and role, and everything is divine. And this is the essence of 11th chapter teaching. And this is what Krishna is trying to impress upon Arjuna when he is showing the destructive side of Vishwarupa Ishvara. And as I said, the description symbolizes Kala Tattvam, the time principle, which is shown as swallowing all warriors on both sides of the Kurukshetra war, including Bhishma, Drona, Karna, etc. And as towards the end of the last class, we saw a sloka composed by Adi Shankara, Shiva Parada Kshamapana Stotram, where he refers to this this Kala Tattvam as Kalo Jagat Bhakshakaha. So now Jagat Bhakshakaha means eater or the consumer of the entire world is the time. Now, how does Bhagavan eat or Kala eat? In the normal course, also it takes place gradually. In fact, Swami Paramatananda ji gives a good example. I have slightly modified that example. It is somewhat like in a restaurant, cooking of many dishes is going on in the kitchen. And all those dishes, dosa, idli, etc., or whatever it is, samosa, puri, they are all eventually going to be swallowed by customers. Some have already swallowed and gone away. Some others are presently sitting and are being served. So the food is in the plate ready to be destroyed. But you don't eat the whole food at one go. One by one, the dishes go into your mouth to vanish forever. Similarly, all of us are eatables for Bhagavan, who is the Kala Tattvam. Some of us are in the kitchen, and some of us, depending upon our age and health condition, are already served on the leaf of the Lord. And some of us, Bhagavan has not noticed because so many items are there on the plate. And some of us have already been swallowed. Or we can say already in the mouth of the Lord, in the process of being chewed and swallowed. Suppose, of course, I don't wish, somebody has got one or two heart attacks. What would you say? You say that the person, if you ask him, how was it? He said, I went into the jaws of death and came out. Isn't it? So normally also, we refer to it as jaws of death only. And all this is not imagination. These details are all going to follow. And therefore, we have to be ready for these details. Be ready to get over the fear of old age, death, disease. All of them by understanding that these are all integral part of life. The more we try to avoid, the more frightening it will be. And therefore, what we have to do, we better meditate upon that aspect, understand that, and get out of it. So this is all the takeaways from this 11th chapter. Now we will see the description in the sloka. Arjuna narrates what is happening. So many people are seen entering the mouth of the Lord because sooner or later that is what going to take place. Remember, the whole Vishwarupa Darshana is happening in the Mahabharata battlefield. And Arjuna is going to start the war. And in a battle, thousands of people will have to die. Therefore, Bhagavan's mouth is going to become wider and wider and busier and busier. And that is symbolically presented here. Arjuna says, "Oh Lord, many soldiers are entering your mouth." Now, the Divya Chakshu, I think I mentioned when I introduced the topic of Divya Chakshu, also enables Arjuna to see a little bit into the future. So Bhagavan is showing him what is already going to happen in future, in the near future. So when Arjuna says, many soldiers are entering your mouth, it's a poetic description. We should not imagine that these people are flying into the mouth of the Lord. It's a symbolic expression. And as we saw, Arjuna is using a zoom lens and he is getting a vision of the people entering and also those who have not yet entered. So he says, Dhritarashtrasya putra hai, all the sons of Dhritarashtra, I see are entering your mouth, indicating that they are going to be destroyed very soon. Amihi means these people. Amihi Dhritarashtra putra means these people, these sons of Dhritarashtra, the Kauravas, who are right in front of me. Now, if you observe the sloka, there is no verb in the sloka. And in Sanskrit, no sentence is complete without a verb. Any language for that matter. And therefore, we have to supply the verb. Now, from where we can supply? Next sloka has got the verb. Vaktrani te vishanti is said in the next sloka. Arjuna says, that verb we should bring in here. Vishanti. Vaktrani te vishanti. That we should bring in here. So, we can recast the sentence. Dhritarashtrasya putra hai vaktrani te vishanti. And not only Kauravas are entering. I see many soldiers from our side are also entering your mouths. It seems Mahabharata war, after the Mahabharata war, very few people survived. People quote some statistics. It is said that 7 members out of 8 members in a family perished in the war. You can imagine what is the situation. And therefore he says, Sarve Sahaivava Nipala Sangaihi. Sarve Saha Eva Avanipala Sangaihi. With multitudes of kings. Avanipala means kings. Because in the olden days, there were small kingdoms and each kingdom had a king. Small king, So there were small kings, big kings, Chakravartis, all those different classes of kings were there. So Avanipala means a Raja. Sangaihi means in groups. All of them simultaneously, they are going into the jaws of death in groups. Because it is said that in those days also, they had powerful weapons. Some people say that these weapons, those weapons can be compared to the modern atomic bombs, etc. One bomb, so many people killed in one shot. Because the description of Brahmastram, etc., are similar to atomic bombs in destruction power. We read in the Puranas. So this Brahmastra seems to be some kind of a powerful bomb only. Therefore, with one weapon, hundreds and thousands die. And therefore, Arjuna says, Sahaiva, simultaneously, hundreds and thousands are entering your mouth. Another way also we can understand, because there's a big fight going on or going to start. So some warriors here will kill some warriors from the other side. So there will be many deaths happening at the same time. That way also we can understand. And the whole tragedy is that Arjuna asked for Gita wisdom only because of one reason. The primary reason was that he could not accept the death of Bhishma, Drona, etc. Isn't it? First chapter itself, he started crying. Very imagination of their death, he started trembling, put down his bow and arrow and all that. He could not even face the imaginary death of them. Then what to talk of actual death? And he was trying to avoid their deaths by withdrawing from the war also. Isn't it? All that we have seen. But here, in Vishwarupa Darshana, he is seeing the death of all the near and dear ones. Bhishma, whom I loved the most, on whose lap I grew. I see that Bhishma is also entering your mouth, Krishna. Then Drona, my guru, my mentor, he is also entering, even though he is the most powerful warrior. He is also entering your mouth. It's ghastly. But of course, there is the silver lining. There is a little good news. Karna, my number one enemy, whom I don't even address by his name, I call him Sutaputra, the son of a charioteer, is also entering. So Arjuna seems to be appreciating Karna's death. So he says, Tata asau Sutaputra hai. And along with all of them, Asmadiyaihi api yodha mukyaihi. Many powerful warriors are also entering your mouth. In fact, a little later, Arjuna's own son Abhimanyu is going to have a very tragic death, which of course Krishna doesn't show him now. But Arjuna cannot imagine that at all. So all these people are entering and he is not able to digest it. So he says, Hey Krishna, I cannot accept this fact. And here Arjuna's immaturity shows up. The most important thing in life is to accept the fact which many people refuse to. As long as we refuse to accept the fact, life is going to be miserable. That is why in the second chapter itself, Krishna said, Tasmat apariharye arthe natvam shochitum arhasi. Intelligence and maturity is learning to accept choiceless situations in life. As long as we cannot accept choiceless situations, life will be miserable. What is choiceless situation? That situation which is not in our control, which we cannot change by any method. In fact, the whole purpose of education is strengthening the mind to accept the choiceless. But Arjuna is not ready. And therefore, Vishwarupa is frightening. And therefore, he says, Yoda Mukyaihi api Bhaktrani te Vishanti. Arjuna continues. You can all unmute. Vaktrani te tvaramana vishante.
वक्त्राणि ते त्वरमाणा विशन्ति
Damshtra karalani bhayanakani.
दंष्ट्राकरालानि
Raghu.
भयानकानि
Kechit vilagna dashanantareshu.
केचित् विलग्नादशनान्तरेषु
Dashanantareshu
Sandrishyante churnitairuttamangai.
सन्दृश्यन्ते
Sandrishyante
चूर्णितैरुत्तमाङ्गैः
Churnitairuttamaङ्गैः
So the Anvaya of this shloka is Tvaramana Vishanti Te Bhayanakani Vaktrani Damshtrakaralani Vilagnaha Dashanantareshu Kechit Sandrishyante Uttamangaihi Churnitaihi. Tvaramana hai speeding with high speed. Vishanti they enter. Te bhayanakani vaktrani, your terrible mouths. Damshtrakarani, damshtrakaralani, which are fierce with all these tusks, incisors and molars and whatnot. Vilagna hai, stuck. Dashanantareshu, between the teeth. Kechit, some of them. Sandrishyante, are seen. Uttamangaihi, with their heads. Uttama anga means the head. Churnitaihi, crushed. A very gory scene Krishna is showing. So Arjuna says, I now see in great speed these people are entering your terrible mouths, which are fierce with tusks, etc. Stuck between the teeth, some of them are seen with their heads crushed. So Arjuna continues to see the frightening mouth of the Lord. It is such a gory scene that even we would like to avoid seeing it. In fact, I don't know if any of you have seen this movie Dhurandhar 2. In fact, my wife insisted last week when I was in Bombay that I accompany her, so I went and saw the movie. And there are some scenes which are no less than what Arjuna is describing.
Absolutely. Correct.
So Dhurandhar, in one way, I was just imagining, is nothing but it is showing 11th chapter, the negative side. I mean, absolutely, normally a very soft-hearted person cannot witness those scenes.
So violent.
So violent, so gory, so much. I mean, I don't want to go into that because beyond description rather. Here at least Arjuna is describing that people are entering and their heads are getting crushed. But there much more is happening in Durandhar. Anyway, let us come back to the shloka. So, it is something like, the movie scenes Arjuna is describing. And in the previous verse, he just said that he is seeing Bhishma, Drona and warriors are entering the mouths. But he did not go into the details. Because once they enter the mouth of the Lord, there are so many possibilities. They could be just swallowed like capsules with a glass of water. And it will not look terrible, isn't it? But now he is describing the ghastly and horrible details of how they are entering. He says, Te Vaktrani Vishanti. All these people are entering your mouth, and that too, Twaramana, in high speed. He's wondering, what is the great hurry? Can't they go little slow? In fact, I often wonder, when I see, when I travel on the road and all that, the people are, madly overtaking, lane, cutting and all that. They are all in such a great hurry to go ahead. Sometimes I wonder whether they will be in the same kind of a hurry when they are before the death, whether they want to go at the same speed. So these are all, when you observe certain things, you reflect upon. And they are all rushing, not knowing what is in store for them. So it is like a python, which keeps the mouth open. And all the prey, without knowing that it is python's mouth, they enter to be gobbled up. Once they enter, the python closes the mouth and swaha. Similarly, Bhagavan's mouth is like the python's mouth. And all these people not knowing are entering your mouth. And what type of mouth? Damshtra karalani, which has frighteningly protruding teeth and canine, and therefore they are bhayanakani, terrible. Arjuna cannot forget this Damshtra karalani. Earlier also he said. So he says, when I look into your mouth closely, what I see is macabre. Many have entered. Some are being chewed. Some people's heads are being crushed. It is like some people eat groundnuts at snack time. Some people eat slowly, one nut at a time, relish the taste of each nut. But there are some others who don't have the patience. They will take a handful and put the whole thing in the mouth. But they cannot bite all of them simultaneously. So some nuts will be there in different parts of the mouth. Some of them will be already crushed. Some of them will be in the process of being chewed and crushed. This is an example, not my example. This is an example given by Swami Paramatma. Similarly, here, many are entering Bhagavan's mouth, and some of them have been already chewed. Some of them are in the process of being crushed. This is what Arjuna is describing. Kechit vilagna hai. And he says some people are caught in between. They are stuck. Dashanantareshu, between the teeth of the Lord. Sandrishyante, I am seeing them. And how? Uttamangaihi churnitaihi. They have been partly bitten by the Lord. Head alone is crushed. Or leg alone is crushed. Stomach alone is crushed. They are all symbolic description. And we can take them as, symbolizing different kinds of diseases. Taking away different parts, kidney failure, heart attack, pancreas failure, brain hemorrhage. All that we can imagine. And all failures due to passage of time because of kalam. And all these are happening, and nobody can stop all these things in spite of all medical advances. None of them can be stopped. In fact, many cases, doctors finally, they give up. They say, we have tried our best. Now pray to God. That is what they say. And therefore, better learn to accept them as part of life. So, sandrishyante churnitaihi. Churnitaihi means crushed. Making it, churnam we call it, crushed. Uttamangaihi, the head. Sandrishyante churnitai uttamangaihi. I see the heads of some people being crushed in between the Lord's teeth. I hope after the class you all forget these details. If you recall these scenes in your sleep, it will be a nightmare actually. Okay. Okay, we will chant the next sloka, 28th sloka. All ready?
Yes.
Yata nadinam bahavombuvegaha
यथा
यथा
नदीनां
नदीनां
बहवो
बहवो
वेगाः
वेदकानां
samudramevabhimukha dravanti
समुद्रमेवाभिमुखा द्रवन्ति
समुद्रमेवाभिमुखाद्रमुन्ति
tata tavami naralokaviraha
तथा
तथा
तवामि
तथा
नरलोकवीराः
परलोकवीराः
vishanti bhaktrani abhivijwalanti
विशन्ति
विशन्ति
वक्त्राणि
वक्त्राणि वक्त्राणि
ज्वलन्ति
अभ्रन्ति
sorry vishanti bhaktrani abhivijwalanti
विशन्ति
विशन्ति
वक्त्राणि
वक्त्राणि
अभिविज्वलन्ति
अभिपचन्ति
so the anvaya is abhi naraloka viraha vishanti. Anybody is okay. Ami naraloka viraha vishanti. Naraloka viraha vishanti. Tava abhivijwalanti vaktrani. Tata yata bahavaha ambuvegaha nadinam dravanti abhimukaha samudram eva. Ami naraloka viraha. These heroes of the world of men, Vishanti, enter. Tava abhivijwalanti, you are blazing, Vaktrani, mouths. Tata yatha, just as. Bahavaha ambuvegaha, many streams, Nadinam, of rivers. Dravanti, flow. Abhimukaha, towards. Samudram eva, the ocean only. So these heroes of the world of men enter your blazing mouths, just as many streams of rivers flow towards the ocean only. So this is not the fate of the soldiers alone. This is the lot of all living beings, because all of them will have to be ultimately resolved. Because life is nothing but avyakta avastha and vyakta avastha. We have all come, we have to go back to the Lord. And again, punarapi jananam, punarapi mananam, the cycle will go on. There is only one thing which can break this cycle, and that is what? Atma Jnanam. Till that, this is the course of every life. And therefore, all of them Arjuna is seeing entering with high speed. And Arjuna wants to give an example. The example of that of the rivers. Because now Arjuna is so overwhelmed by seeing all these things. As I said, when you are emotionally overwhelmed, emotionally disturbed, your thoughts go in so many directions. It is not that Krishna requires examples to understand what Arjuna is seeing, because he is the one who is showing all these things. But then Arjuna wants to explain, what he means by the speed with which they are going. And that is why he gives the example of the rivers. Okay. We will see this example and continue in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi
Hari
Om
Om Sri
Gurubhyo
Gurubhyo
Namah
Namah.
Harihi
Hari
Om
Om.
Dhanyavad hai everyone. Thank you very much.
Namaskaram. Hari Om.
Namaskaram. Hari Om.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Guruji.
Guruji. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Pranam Namaste.
Pranam. Namaste.
Guruji,
Ah.
in other words, through the Vishwarupam, is Krishna trying to tell Arjuna what is going to be the outcome of the war?
No, it's not. At this stage, he is not telling.
No, when he is seeing all this in the Vishwarupam,
Yeah.
everybody getting crushed or
Yes.
killed or whatever it is, including everybody, Dronacharya, Bhishma
Yes,
Pitama,
yes. Yes.
in-
But he does
in-
not say that you are going to be the winner.
Hmm.
He is just describing the process which goes on in the war. That this is the reality of a war, Arjuna. See this reality. Conclusion as to who wins or who loses later. Because even with Drona and Bhishmacharya and all gone, not necessarily because Arjuna could perish. This fellow Yudhishthira and all Pandavas also could perish. No, their turn has not yet come.
True, but the way it is being now pictured or presented to Arjuna at the moment, I think from a layman's perspective, it would imply indirectly, Arjuna, don't worry, you are going to be the winner.
Well, we'll have to wait for the whole chapter to finish. Then we can probably come to that conclusion.
No, the way it is being progressed.
Yeah, that is to know. What
You know,
Krishna is saying that Arjuna, the whole thing started with you
Hmm.
feeling that you should not kill Drona, Bhishma, etc.
And that is for a different reason, agreed.
Now, what he wants to say, you do have no control over that. But that is already decided. Drona, Bhishma, these warriors, etc., already decided. There it has been written in there, this is the last breath they will take.
Hmm.
So that is what he is trying to impress upon Arjuna, that these are all situations which is not in your hands. You think that by avoiding the war, you can, Drona, Bhishma, all can escape. But that is a wrong thinking on your part. They are all going to die when their time comes. So that is what he is trying to. Because I tell you, most importantly, when we come to the 18th chapter,
Hmm.
till that Arjuna is still not convinced that he should be fighting this war. Somebody please, Lataji, please mute yourself. So in 18th chapter,
Hmm.
Krishna will repeat all these things, 18th chapter is a summarizing the Atma Jnanam teaching. So he will say all these things and finally he will say one word. I have told you whatever I have to tell you. Right? Now, yata ichchasi tat kuru. Now, whatever you wish to do, you do. That is all. I cannot do anything more than that. I have given you the complete, shown you everything, taught you everything that is there to be taught. Now,
Okay.
still, if you are not convinced, Arjuna, do what you feel like. That's all.
No, could it be that, okay, in the beginning he was in a dilemma. He didn't want to pick up the weapons when he looks at his own close relatives, everybody on the enemy's side. Oh my God, I shall be killing all of them. Now, with the kind of a presentation of the Vishwarupa, through that, is he giving indirectly confidence to Arjuna, say, go ahead, pick up the weapons?
I personally don't think, because here, if that were the case, if Arjuna was confident,
No, Arjuna was not confident. Krishna is giving him the confidence
that
by
is
showing.
okay. That is
No,
the you may
saying
take
that
it that
you are
way,
not.
because continuously in odd chapters he will always say, Yudhyasva, you go and fight, because that is the constant advice. In different ways, he is advising Arjuna to fight.
And
For
he's telling
various
that
reasons, he is advising Arjuna to fight. He said Karma Yoga, then you are a
Correct,
Kshatriya, so
All
many
that's
things.
correct.
But still, Arjuna is not convinced. And this Vishwarupa Ishvara is one of the forms of convincing Arjuna that you want to avoid the fight because you think that killing or not killing or other people dying is in your hands. Please understand that is not in your hands. Whether you fight, you don't fight, this Bhishma, Drona, etc. are going to die only. But he's showing, okay, they are going to die in this war. Probably that much we can interpret, and we can say that they are going to die in this war.
War, correct.
So if Arjuna wants to take it that, okay, then in that case, let me go ahead and fight. Because that could go both ways. Arjuna may become confident and say, okay, if they are, that is what is going to happen. But Arjuna never had this problem that they will kill me. In fact, he said, if they kill me, I will be very happy. I will go to Swarga and all that, isn't it? Having given up the life in a battle and all that. So all that he has already said in the first and early part of the second chapter.
True. Agree.
That is why here, all options, everything Krishna is placing before Arjuna. This is what it is. So don't think a victory or defeat business and all is going to change anything. Your duty is to fight, you fight. That is the underlying message as I see it, as I understand. He is not giving an indirect, I would say, indication that eventually you are going to win, so go and fight. No, I don't think so. That is the message Krishna is giving.
No, on the other hand, okay, he displayed his Vishwarupa. Let us say that he had not opened his mouth and shown all this, what is likely to happen. Something like a fortune teller. Instead, had he shown his Vishwarupa, see, this is the strength you have with me as your charioteer.
See, the Vishwarupam
Do you
is
think that should have been
showing,
better?
Vishwarupam is showing to make Arjuna understand, become more mature. Because Arjuna is immature in his thinking right now. He is not able to accept the negative part of the cosmic forms. He likes all, oh, wonderful, you are great, colorful and all that. That is okay with them. When it comes here, he is shivering. He will say in this later in the chapter, please close down this show. Go back to your original form. I don't want to see all these things. Arjuna will say. So Krishna is now trying, and through Arjuna he is trying to teach all of us that we must develop that maturity to accept everything in this world. Because mind you, this Arjuna Krishna dialogue is not for purpose of only meant for Arjuna. It is a teaching to the entire world how we should, develop our mental faculty, our maturity, how we should react, respond to various situations in the world. That is what Gita is all about.
Acceptability of the situation.
Accept what you cannot control. What is not under your control, accept that situation. And most of our problems are that only, In fact, many times I found, this thing very funny. My wife, many times asked me, why is Modi doing this? Why is this fellow doing that? Well, how do I know why they are doing? Their doing is not under my control.
Correct.
So, these kind of immature questions, one must not even ask. Before even the question comes in your mind, you must know the answer. That if Modi is doing, how can I ask this fellow why Modi is doing? See, what Modi is doing, if he says, maybe I can explain that this is what he is doing. Why he is doing, we don't know. We can only make some intelligent guess because of this, because of that, and all that. That may be correct, that may not be correct also, rather. Because, for example, and a very classic example, this demonetization which happened.
Mm.
Now, everybody's thinking was this demonetization happened because to control corruption.
Mm. Mm.
So that in corruption, high value notes are involved. And so control corruption, demonetization was done. Now, after seeing this Durandar movie,
Exactly. I was
the
about to say
purpose of
that.
demonetization now takes a totally different, I would say, dimension.
It unfolds the entire suspense.
It unfolds the entire suspense.
Exactly.
What exactly was this demonetization was all about? And the result was seen in the next election. Then in UP, this Yogi won the election.
Correct. Correct.
And the Samajwadi Party lost the election. So what has been going on for the past decades, by one shot, he completed everything. Similarly, now you can see this SIR also. What has been going on in the political field, this SIRS, to a large extent, I would not say 100%, but at least more than 75% set it right. Now the result of the democracy will be the real result, what people actually want.
They say in Tamil Nadu, the number of voters have gone up because
Yes,
of SIR.
because earlier there were so many voters who were missing from the list and they did not have any recourse,
Correct. Exactly.
So today they had a recourse. So they went, they appealed, they got their names included. Many, of course, did not go at all because they were probably, earlier they were voting on some names and all. Now they know that if they go to the authority, they will be exposed.
Exactly.
So many people did not choose to go to the authorities. So all those things are there, we have to actually keep on reflecting what is going on around us and relate it. So what I mean to say is, many times our understanding may be actually not incomplete understanding. But when new perspective comes, then we understand, oh, this was the reason why this happened.
Mm-hmm.
That is what it is. Anyhow, so we'll continue in the next.
Sir, Guruji,
Thank you very much, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Hari Om,
yeah,
namaskar.
what Krishnaji was saying, that Arjuna is feeling. What I feel is Krishna is also telling, whatever you said, that is true, and what he is telling is that Arjuna is feeling that he is killing everybody, but Krishna has already told him that you are not the doer. You kill them or not, they will be dying. So don't think you do the war, and don't think that you are the doer. That is also the message.
So that message will come later.
Yeah.
Nimitta matram bhava savyasachin, he will tell it later.
Acha.
That will come later. He has still not come to that. Right?
Acha.
So
No,
that
okay,
sloka
because
will come later.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So you just be an instrument for all these things.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't think you are doing all these things. That Krishna will tell Arjuna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Namaskaram, Guruji. Thank you very much.
Namaskaram, Hari Om. Thank you all very much. Hari Om.